Hello there. My name's Gavin Henrik. I am one of the committee for the Moodle User Association. And we're here today to talk about user experience and the user interface in Moodle and what innovations that people have done. So, we're all using Moodle Workplace for this amazing 1-week global moot that we're all taking part in. And it demonstrates a lot of the really cool things that you can do. So today we're going to just go through some of the things that people have shared with us. And there's also one of the MUA projects that has been submitted in potentially to go into a later Moodle release. So on the screen, you'll see a QR code. If you go to that QR code, you will be able to get transcript for what I am saying. You won't get the text from other people, so I'll make sure I try and repeat any cool things that they say. And the URL of ppt.ms/rvxmfpu7 will be at the top of the screen for most of this time too. So feel free to go to it. It's a thing called PowerPoint Live, and I really like it. It helps, especially in this type of international conference. So let us begin. Moodle User Association is a non-profit membership organization where people join, they pay a membership, and then they help to suggest really cool projects every 6 months, and then we discuss them, we vote on them, and then we fund them to end up in Moodle Core. And I know Michael and others of the committee have been doing presentations during the week about some of the really cool stuff that's been going on, and they're looking at what we're doing for the roadmap. So this kind of thing around the UX is really fundamental to what we do. And so this is all about sharing your UX ideas or UX ideas from other people. So, okay. So the first one was, and actually we're starting a theme here, and I don't mean a Moodle theme, but we're certainly starting a theme around personalization and easy access to courses. So firstly, this is going to be from, I think it's Canberra Grammar School in Australia, I believe. And this was one of the things that they had added in, which was a personalized course menu. You can see here that it's broken down into different semesters, which obviously Moodle doesn't understand, and also practice and temporary. So there's these categories of courses, but yet it's personalized for it. Now, I don't know what other people think, but this is one of the key things that Moodle maybe doesn't have currently, which would be really great to see this concept, not just of the past, the present, and the future, but semesters, and maybe even linked into rollover. So I think this kind of menu and is going to be really cool to have something like that, but there'll probably be a lot of changes in there, maybe more settings in courses. So Luca, what do you think about this? What do you think about this whole idea of semesterization?
I loved it already when it was an option in the course overview block. That is a thing that has been pushed by Alexander Bias, I think, so that you have semantical fields you can add to your courses, and by them you are able to browse by semester categories. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. That is really beautiful.
Yeah. So I see a cool question in there from Tim going, can't you do it with categories? Not really, because if courses, all right, let's say mathematics year 1 might have modules from various different departments, and so how people are using categories and subcategories is something it's like a tree, it's not something where modules can appear in multiple places, so it's a little bit different. Now, potentially you could use it with categories to some extent, but they aren't represented within a drop-down menu for courses. And this is about that easy access to that. So I love it. I really love it. Oh, okay, that's cool. So you don't see the add button. It's at the very bottom there, Tim. Hopefully. Oh, yeah. At least guests were able to add stuff in. So I'll jump to the next one. Email it to me to ghenrik@gmail, by the way, if you want, if the add button isn't working. This is another innovation from the same place. It's about a timetable block and different visualizations about timetables. So you can see over there on the top one, 8:30 health, and then mathematics at 9:50, and co-curricular music at 10:30. Just a really nice visualization of a calendar timetable. And then a nice easy one there below for younger people who maybe need something bigger and simpler. I love it. I mean, the calendar is a really powerful thing in Moodle, the way you do site level, course, group, user. But sometimes it's just not as accessible. No, I don't mean that in accessibility terms, but not as accessible to people if you don't like the big calendar blocks. So, and if you want to know what I mean, go into the calendar in this Moodle workplace site, and you'll see, like, I don't know, 50 entries in one day. Now, Moodle has done some really nice stuff to combat that with the program, but natively the calendar isn't this friendly. So what do you think, Luca?
That looks really good. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea. Yeah, to have it both ways so that people who like to have it visually on the browser can look at it in the browser, and since it's natively in the calendar as well, so people who like it having it on their phone, they have it synchronized on their phones. So I'm a big fan of doing things both ways, to have it for those who prefer it in that way, in this way, and for those who prefer it otherwise, it's possible as well. I'm loving the possibility to be able to offer different paths to different preferences.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Not everyone thinks the same way when they're using an interface, and providing multiple ways of going somewhere is a good thing. Not sure what Stuart Lamore would say, but I think he likes it to be self-explanatory, which, ideally it is, but sometimes people do need different kinds of interfaces. And that's one of the things I like about the main dashboard is you can do your sort of tiles, you can do a list or a list with summary. And I must admit, I'm not a fan of using too much graphical tile kind of things for navigation once you're within a system. People read web pages using like the Nielsen method or the one or two other ones which have been shown. So let's see, is there anything in there? So Michael Nolling saying he loves that block. That's cool. Okay. Anything else? No. And this one, an absolute must. I must admit, the whole start date, end date thing in Moodle does frustrate me, because it isn't as usable as it could be yet. It's a great start, and I love the way it's used in the dashboard. But I guess this is one of the standard things that past courses showing in Boost, having an option. And maybe it is about filtering that within Boost. What do you think, Luca?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm getting the point. So, what do you dislike? And what do you like? You dislike. You like the possibility to be able to show past courses or past
In the
enrollment?
in the left menu, yes,
Yeah.
where
Ah,
and separating them out. So you have your current courses and
yeah.
past on that boost bar, or the hamburger bar, or
Yeah, yeah. The navigation drawer. Yeah, you have
navigation door.
only.
There you go. I was looking for a vegan phrase there
No,
rather
no,
than hamburger, but yeah, that
yeah,
was
no, no. I think it's called the navigation drawer. So you do always only see the courses that are start date is in the past, and the end date is either not set or in the future. So yeah, sometimes lecture do tend to do the end date a little bit too early, and then say the lectures are closed, but you still have exams. And then I get complaints by students who say, I don't see the course in the navigation drawer anymore. So yeah, yeah. I would generalize maybe, Gavin, to say give some more autonomy to the users to being able to steer what they want to see in the navigation drawer. That could be it.
yeah. I must admit, you see, that concept of a user personalizing the interface, I'm fundamentally against, and I'll tell you why. If every interface is different, you complicate the ability of somebody else to support it. When someone is looking at their support or any of the videos or anything, and if they've made a personalized decision at some stage, and even docking blocks was one example. I hiding
Mhm.
blocks. It's like, man, how many support departments got unnecessary calls with like, hey, I've lost my admin block, or I've lost this block or that block. I know from clients I've worked over the years that just um, generated a few extra calls or emails that they didn't need. But so it is sometimes, I think, personalizing navigation and that kind of thing of the system. I'm not so for, but I see the benefits of it. So I'm stuck because I see the benefits, but I'm personally think it's not a good thing. But I love this. I really like this idea. So Kate Sexton, go on. You just made a comment there, Kate. Jump in. What's your thoughts there?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this. Hello.
Oh, I always call random people. It's okay.
Love it. No, I think anything to the extreme degree can be difficult for many different parties. So I think at least having a transparent understanding of what we mean by customization and personalization. So don't necessarily let the floodgates open and everyone goes wild with their own ideas. So a level of, I guess, agreement and maybe iterate on that idea of customization is always a good start.
Okay, that's true. I mean, and maybe it is about a balance. Nothing's 0 and 100. It's everywhere somewhere in between. I know Tim also wants to join in on this. Hey Tim, come on, you're always welcome, my friend. Come on, where are you? Come on,
Give him
Tim.
a minute. Give him a minute, Gavin. He will.
Okay.
He will arrive.
That's fine. He's muted. Yeah, unmute yourself, Tim, if you can. We'll give him a moment anyway. But yeah, I do think that some of the personalization stuff. Oh, you're still muted, my friend. There you go.
Yes. No, in the big blue button, leave audio button is the symbol everywhere else for join audio. So for unmute. So I always click the wrong one. Oops. So no, the thing about personalization, I agree with you that in 90% of systems, you don't want to have to personalize because the user interface designer has got it right. So like, going to Moodle.org forums to ask a question should just work nicely. But in software you use every day to do serious work, like in my development environment, I'm using that every day. I absolutely want to customize that to be optimized for me. So maybe in parts of Moodle where like maybe assignment grading interface should be customizable to kind of show just the bits the teacher needs and hide the bits they don't need. So I think 90% of interfaces should just work because the UX designer got it right. But places you do serious work need to be configurable, is my view.
So I agree with you completely, because I was talking about navigation. The main navigation structure shouldn't be customizable. It should be set for the site. But you know what? The grading interface is one of those things which, oh my God, just let me hide stuff. Let me just show what I need, because this is sort of a repetitive task that you want to be able to just have exactly what you need. And the gradebook, I'm certainly hoping the gradebook gets a big hug from the new UX team in Moodle for 4.0, because it certainly needs it. We all love it. We all get frustrated by it, and it's the most important part of Moodle in some ways. So certainly looking forward to some really cool stuff there. But let's move along. Recording audio, video and editor. One, props to Big Blue Button, our Blindside network, for originally putting these plugins into Moodle Core. Ye are stars, Fred and Jesus and the rest of your team. However, there is a limit to them, that when they record as a HTML5 audio and video. And that means that all of us Apple users, and I think the phrase here was stubborn Apple users was used in this particular entry, can't play those videos and audios. Now, I'm a stubborn Apple user. I use Windows, Apple, Linux, anything. I use anything and everything. But on iOS, I want to be able to play that feedback from a teacher. So there is a plugin that has a filter that goes from that format into MP4s. Now, there's no MP5s and only MP4s allowed. So what we need to do is to have this kind of thing. But what do you think about the idea of when you're recording audio in and out? Let's talk about that as a UX. thing, recording audio directly into editor. What do you think about it, Luca?
That is perfect. That is really good. That is a great option for courses which teach languages, so people can express themselves. So a feedback could be, or even a preliminary test. So if lecturers have to do graduation, so give those students, put them into the advanced group, and this one is the basic, and this one the medium group. So they can do an assessment and say, tell me in 2 minutes what you think about the Black Lives Matter movement. And by having and hearing the people then talking, they can examine it where to put them. Another great thing is that with grading, it's or even giving assignments. So you give an assignment, but try to also explain it verbally, what to expect. And people, I mean younger people, they do communicate with text. They don't type WhatsApp, they speak WhatsApp. And lecturers I've heard who do this are getting, by such a simple trick, getting a lot of popularity with students. So they say, oh, they get it, they get how we do things. So for giving assignments, but also to grade something, if they have a assignment come in and they do grade it, and in grade they add a verbal, hey, well done, next time try also not to forget this aspect. And so that is lovely. That is really lovely.
I absolutely agree. I remember reading some research there that was published, I think it was in the UK, about audio feedback versus written feedback, and that the audio feedback was, obviously for those who could hear it, it was really good because it added tone, it added pacing, that all of that thing that you get from speech that isn't apparent in text. And I know for myself, sometimes my telegram messages and feedback and written feedback to people lacks all of the humor and nuance that my voice has, which gets me in trouble. So I certainly see the benefit of it. And also, but for language teaching and for students, I think this is absolutely valuable. So there are some comments there about, well, where does all the space go? You know, space, it's not the final frontier anymore. Space is the cheapest thing in hosting. Yes, backup and restore has to be dealt with, but maybe that backup and restore should be dealt with rather than the way it's currently done. Maybe that's one of the areas to look for, how you handle really big files. But if you convert from HTML5 to MP4, the file gets smaller. And that's one of the things that this is talking about. Yeah. Pablo's disagreeing. Pablo, if you want to join in here on the audio then and disagree with me verbally, come on.
Yes, that's talking about audio. Yeah, I love disagreements in audio because they are better. They are, you know, yeah, they are not that hard than written. No, I must tell you, we are working on a project for 4 million students installations, and you know, and it's a public project, and then at that size, every little recording, it's a problem, and well, now and then you just tell some friend to start texting again because they send you those 2 or 3 minutes irrespectful audios in Telegram, especially. But I cannot agree more with all that has been said here. I fully support this, and I fully support it in editor. I think it's one of the greatest things that has been happening lately in terms of interface. But that has to be accounted. It's not a UX thing, but the storage of files in general, and its relationship with cache and the like has room for improvement. We know that, and I think, well, anything. That's it. It's not a minor problem.
So that's awesome. Thank you so much for your contribution, Pablo. And I think it is really key to understand that there are challenges when you've got like 4 million students with all of that wonderful audio and video they might record. I know Dublin City University, and yes, I nearly always use DCU as an example because, well, Mark Lynn and the team there have done some really funky stuff. And they had record audio directly into Google Drive. They were using a company called Unicam for that. It was lecture capture, but also they had video and audio assignments for the nursing school and stuff. There's some case studies online, but maybe that's the solution. That's the solution for you, Angus. You don't want a 70 gigabyte backup because, well, that's a big backup. Maybe Google Drive, and pretty much every school is either Google Drive or it's Office. So when you're getting unlimited space, put it into an institutional account there, perhaps. Something to certainly look at. I see the benefit, but then there's those drawbacks as well. So let's move along. And this is from Murdoch University. It is Indigenous Acknowledgement. I remember at one of the Australian Moodle meets, the first time I came across this sort of acknowledgement at a conference or as an institution of where they actually were taking place, and acknowledging that and adding respect to the indigenous tribes from the area. So I think this is a lovely touch. It really is. It might not strike a chord with a lot of us who aren't from and haven't experienced that aspect, but I certainly think this is a very respectful and a very nice aspects to include.
Really lovely indeed. Yes, yes.
Anyone else got any thoughts on this? Other countries where they replicate this kind of respect gesture demonstration? Just watching a few people type away there. So I'm just going to check here what they. Okay, nobody seems to be adding anything if you are typing away there. And so what they said here was a small UI change with many units putting an acknowledgement in a block or something. But this one, they used a Fortson with a highly customized Fortson. It's put an icon in the pop-up on the site globally. And they also had a reset tourist put in the same area. So the idea was to, at the very top right of that, that's where they had it. So I think that's a really nice thing to do, and certainly something maybe more of us should think about where we are. Another really funky one, I didn't have a screenshot given, but it's about a block manager. And you know what? One of the most not done things, which should be done, is in config PHP, rip out and turn off all the blocks by default, rather than when you're deploying Moodle. And virtually nobody does it because there's always some blocks there. And you have to do it in the config PHP. So this was a tool to allow them to do it in the site. So it is an admin tool. You'd have to go and have a look at it. I will share the PowerPoint afterwards. But it's about managing which blocks appear consistently. Love this. Institutions do need to have a set of consistency for accessibility purposes, so you're not confusing everybody. It's not just people who are using screen readers, but just everybody. It should be relatively consistent within your courses. So let's see, what are people saying here? Pablo's going +1 to block consistency. Anybody else got any thoughts? Luca?
Yeah, that timetable is a perfect example. So you don't want any lecturer to kick that block out of his or her course because students rely on it. Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Okay. Oh, and Sam is just mentioning this wonderful work that Catalyst did, who's one of the Moodle partners. They created this concept called multi-block, where you can combine blocks together. Awesome. If you haven't looked into it, look for it. It is really good. And the URL there is in the chat. Make sure you put it into the forums or on Twitter as well, Sam, so people can do it. It's really awesome. Catalyst do some excellent work in that respect. So, but I do think having consistency is great. Another one is the accessibility block. If you can imagine, if an institution wants that there, but a teacher could remove it or not add it to their course. So you need to have consistency. I think this block manager concept is it's wicked. It's great.
I see a contradiction at the inside of the same institution, so that Alex says use sticky blocks, and then Catherine replies, yeah, but sticky blocks aren't sticky every time and each time. So yeah, it could be a workaround, or maybe it's a needed improvement for sticky blocks.
Yeah, well, you see, that's the thing. Are teachers web designers or teachers? And I must admit, sorry, teachers, you're teachers. you shouldn't be designing the interface. It should be, I mean, I firmly believe in things like standardized blocks, standardized course layouts to have consistency for students, teachers. If a substitute teacher or lecturer has to jump in to help on that course, it should be the same as every other module. It's either section by section, topic by topic, resource, assignments, activities, whatever the structure is. It should be consistent for everybody's sake.
Let me add one to this, Gavin. Sometimes lecturers say, I have to kick the blocks out because they're not anymore, and I need all my space because I want to show my course on the Beamer, and I want to have as much space as possible to show the content. And my opinion, there should be if there's a plugin, we have that. There's a full screen plugin. So this one, I would love to have it considered to be built in, so that those teachers who are then very unlucky with forced blocks which are sticky and they cannot undo, they have at least the possibility to do the full screen, to have that precise look and feel they need when they want to present on a small Beamer to a large room. That those things happen.
You know, and I think my team was the first to use the full screen back in 2013. Baz Brands, who now works for Moodle HQ, built it for the Moodle Moot, and now it's in a few themes. But it was the idea that you could click a button into presenter mode for a teacher, essentially. Lose all the blocks, top, bottom navigation. So if they have a book or a quiz or something on the screen, but a normal user could do that too. And I think that's essential sometimes. So it's, you know, it's hard to choose, but you need to be able to offer both. Now, so Mike Churchward, who's the president of the Moodle User Association, had proposed in some innovations which he'd seen in Workplace to be included in core. And this was one of them. So we've all seen in Workplace now this super sexy user menu. And as Stuart Lamour said yesterday, this is just brilliant. This is one of the best innovations he'd seen in a while. Sorry if I'm paraphrasing you, Stuart, but it is really nice. And I think even Titus have emulated it somewhat in one of their own themes. I certainly think that this kind of thing would remove the need, for example, of maybe a drop down. It removes the course listing maybe from the nav bar, which is you're trying to get too much in there. But it gives easy access to courses for everywhere. And of course, the Workplace team did an amazing job implementing it. Love it. What's not to love about it? So what do people think? Luca, you first.
Yes, that is super attractive. I agree. I fully agree. Yeah, loving it.
Okay. Is there anyone else who'd love to jump in on that as well? Sander, what about you, maybe? Not sure what you were plus oneing. I must admit, I hate the concept of plus one because it's contextually.
I love your growling, Gavin. That's the second time I think today.
I'll growl more if you like it.
Sure. No, I totally agree. I love this. It's easy navigation, easily available, and I think it's one of the things that we seriously need to look at bringing into core for version 4.
Yeah. So Pablo's saying he sells a lot of Workplace because of that menu. Yeah. So must admit, I'm really proud of the Workplace team. They did such an amazing job, and it's great to see all these sexy innovations. Actually, one of my old bosses used to really give out to me for using the word sexy about interface and stuff in Moodle, but that's sexy. It really is. So, oh, Martin's there. This is why linear chat sucks for meaningful discussion. Yes, it is, Martin. That's true too. So, but hey, at least we have it. Adrian, you can access from everywhere in the courses. We've hidden the course listing. So our initial starts is always the dashboard. Yeah. But I like this. It's lovely. And it has completion on it as well, which is just yummy. And here's the other one. So another Moodle Workplace innovation. And this is, again, an MUA project saying we'd like something like this in core. It was one of the 6 projects that are going to be decided on for this round. And as it happens, probably as other people, I know one of our clients have implemented this in a project, which is what I've shown you there on the right, similar concept. So this is a pop-out for the useful stuff, as Mike put it. And over on the right there, it's just customizable. It could, and that's obviously all going to the same place, but you get the idea. What do you think about this, Luca? What do you think
Ah,
about
now I get it. So that appears as soon as you click the cog, right?
Well, no, it's basically those 9 squares at the top.
Ah, yeah, now I see it. And
You
I
click on
see it.
this. So it's a
Okay,
bit
okay,
like
okay.
it's a bit like Google. This is a mechanical design. Hopefully, someone can
yeah,
correct me if I'm
yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
You click on that square.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's surely one way to do it. There are certainly more ways to accomplish this. Yeah, love it. Yeah, like it. I like it. Yeah.
So, Sam, would you like to join us there and explain why the magpie in you is being appealed to? Just audio if you don't want to do video. It's cool. Well, Sam's saying she likes images rather than words. And magpies collect things. Yeah, maybe this for an admin could be a visualization of their admin bookmarks, which how many people use admin bookmarks? It's maybe this is a way to do that. I don't know. Anyone else got something to throw in there? Angus is saying +1 or plus admin bookmarks. He likes that idea. Lots of people typing. But anyway, the idea over on the right here is so that you could choose specific courses, maybe your support courses in an institution, your library course, your careers course, and so on. You could do it that way, or it could be to things outside of the Moodle site. So the key things like resources, like the library website or whatever it might be. Okay, nobody else is going to jump in there. That's cool. Actually, Barbara, what about you? You agree with Sander? Come on, turn your audio on and join us. Or Martin. Loads of them are typing.
To save you from typing, I'll just say what I was about to type. The local commander is a really fast way to get to every menu item you have. So the idea of the plugin developer was like he had in mind like of the integrated development environment. So fast menus, so you click a magic key and then you type the command you want and it jumps right onto there, and the local commander does this. I highly recommend you to look at this. It's useful for you as an administrator. You have access to every administrator setting menu you have, but for lecture as well. I do not actively promote it, but I've seen there's some geek, there's some lecturer who's really advanced and she wants this, he wants it. Then I'll explain, try to push that key and you see the hovering up menu, and then you just type groups and you have all the menu commands where groups is literally in it. Go down, return. It's keyboard based navigation and you get to everywhere you want to go. That is a real cool thing.
That sounds amazing. So Barbara, if your audio is working now, do you want to join in?
Yes.
Hey, we can hear you. Come on.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm so confused with these buttons. But yeah, I agree. Just like what Luca said, that it is important to have advanced way to use the navigation, because we're not only by design, UX should work for novice users and advanced users to make it more efficient for them, especially that they do a lot of work.
You know, certainly agree. I mean, as an admin, like in the book we did for PACT, it was like there's like 7 key things an admin does in general during the year. Having those directly linked rather than finding them within the admin tree, I think would be really helpful. A bit like the workplace stuff, which has the multi-tenancy report builder and stuff. It's all about workplace features, which is awesome. But it would be great to have that maybe in a sort of a Moodle Core kind of thing. But anyway, let's move along then. Yeah, that was, Michael, that was a configurable version on the right-hand side that I was showing there. So this is then the compressed navigation view. So this is, I must admit, the hamburger in Boost, you know, it's a great idea collapsing that column, but I've always liked the idea of having icons there for a client about 8 years ago in Ireland. One of the institutes, we did a theme for their site that did that. And it was great to see it work in workplace like that. And that's an example of it done in a boost version where it collapses down to those icons. So what do you think, Luca? Do you like this?
Yeah. I'm big shouts to Adrian Perez of Distance University of Switzerland. I have that for about 2 years now. It's like exactly as Alexander Bias writes in the comments. Super envious to Adrian. I love how he did that, and I'm loving it. I knew this before Workspace because of Adrian's usage, and Adrian, maybe you could chime in and tell how hard it was to implement and what you have to do to tweak it.
Oh, he's here. Please do.
So, hi all. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Good. Yes, that's right. But we are already using it more than 2 years, and the first version was done by a Moodle partner in Switzerland. It was then when the theme Boost was introduced in Moodle. And yes, now we are adapting it and updating it with the new versions. And in the Boost Child theme, which Alexander Bias mentioned, I have done once a pull request, I think. I'm not sure if it's still working or it's broken. And yeah, it would be cool if it would be integrated into this Boost Campus theme.
Yeah, no, we just did this for one of our clients as well there. So very similar to you, it was incorporating it into an existing theme. So it'd be great to see. I do think that, I think what Mike was trying to get with all these innovations, these are things that Workplace UI moved forward. And maybe in the 4.0 work, Martin at the end of this session could possibly give us a few minutes of his vision of what he hopes to achieve within that 4.0 piece. But some of these are nice, maybe interim things that just take it that step forward. Anyway, so that's that one. Sticky turn-on editing. Gotta love this. Oh, Luca, it's yours.
Yeah, I didn't highlight it, of course, unfortunately. So you have in the top menu, we put it on the right-hand side, but it's a visual decision. But the most left entry of the right-hand side top menu is turn editing on. And this isn't scrolling away, so that's always there. So this, again, is the 2 ways to go for users. The one who prefer to click at the top, one who prefer that traditional button. And I'm loving the fact that it's possible to have that sticky all the time. I've seen solutions where it was sticky and floating over the content all the times. An institution in Vienna does this, University of Vienna. I don't know whether Stefan Weber is here. He might be able to talk about it. No, he's not. And yeah, I have to add that it has a backlash, but turning editing on and off always has a backlash, so that it never sticks to the actual cursor and scrolling position. So teachers will come and say, yeah, but if I turn editing on and off the 11th section from the top, so I always have to jump up and down again. So I'm dreaming of a possibility to have that sticky button, being able to turn it on and off, and to stay on the same position. That would be really, really useful interface experience, I think.
Yeah, I love it. I love the concept. I think it provides direct access to what a teacher needs, no matter where they are on a page. I do think that there needs to be a more concept of sticky. So it's just about trying to balance that. And against how much of the screen is permanently hidden by that top bar as such. But I love this. Anyone else in there got something which they'd like to jump in on? First to type gets asked. Who's there? Anybody? Barbara's typing. Barbara, jump in. Come on.
So and Thomas Korn is agreeing, and Sander compliment me with that improvement. That would be. You have some tracker issues which deal about the editing on and off. So one, for example, says if you're in course A and you have turned editing on and you go to course B, why should there be editing on there as well. That editing on follows you throughout the whole site, but you can't have course A in editing mode and course B in non-editing mode. So why is that following you? So those issues exist. So it's, yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think that as a teacher, you should be in editing mode or not. I think it's a personal thing. And it's one of the things I don't like it near the course controls for that reason. It's a bit like when you do quick grading and things like that. In one assignment, you go to another one, it follows you. One, it's about what you're doing at the time. Are you in course building mode or not? So I think there'll be a very good debate on that. And maybe I'll be a minority on that vote. But is there anyone else there? Hey, Thomas.
Hey, hi, nice to see you. Just one thing, when I have a look at this slide, what I dislike about that is this kind of duplicating the access to turn editing on. I think Moodle has a lot of buttons, and the feedback from our users is, sorry, I can't see through all the trees I have here on the screen, and therefore it's like the same we talked about 10 minutes ago. Just be aware, adding a button should always mean removing another one. That's all. I think I couldn't agree more with having sticky editing on, but just duplicating it is not solving the problem, my humble opinion.
Okay. Not so sure. I like it. Sander.
No, I was just thinking the same thing that Pablo suggested there. Why do we need an editing mode at all? It's certainly something that we discussed as part of the activity chooser project, and bringing that button back. Is there a way for us to avoid having to manually flip something on or off, and just make it easier for the teacher to go in and edit things? It needs a lot more research and something that we haven't solved yet, but I'd be keen to hear other people's opinions on that.
Well, I must admit, so I've used so many platforms at the moment, and either it's permanently on, right? Literally, there's no editing off. And part of the problem there with Moodle is the fact that you use words as editing rather than in Workplace, where it's more icon driven, which is a tidier, cleaner. So that could be a problem. But if you do look at content management systems like WordPress and Drupal and whatever, you always have to go in to edit something, and editing structures and so on. So I do think that you have to have a balance. I wonder, would that be something that it could be a preference? One worry I have, and I've seen teachers who've lost quizzes because they've moved it to somewhere they couldn't find it, because they tried something around without thinking about it, or because they were in editing mode without thinking about it, and they might also have deleted the quiz and stop being in editing mode and not thinking very much before their first coffee. So I do think it needs to be either a user level, I'm editing or not, or a course level one. I'm not sure you could always have it on. What do other people think? Is there anyone there? What about Tim? What's your experience? Or Pablo?
Hey, hi Sander. Hi. Well, parts of the interface do already not need an editing on. For instance, you just double click or you click on the title of the section to edit it without turning on editing. Also, I fully support the idea. Teachers sometimes do not know what editing means. Going to the settings of a module is part of editing, but it's not the same thing, and you have multiple ways to enter there. So editing on, I think we should rethink the whole thing, because it has been there from basically 1.0, and I really appreciate the return of that button. That button was longly mourned by teachers. The explanation on the cog was really difficult, and but I support the sticky. If we are going to go ahead with that concept, I support that. Thank you.
Okay, that's some good concepts there, or good discussion. Let's move along. I do think that Tim's point there was teachers aren't always editing; they're mostly facilitating. Actually, you know what, Tim? You're reminding me of advice that I give to clients, and actually just chatting to one yesterday. their admin account should be different to their teacher account. They should never have their teacher account logged in, with admin rights, because when you're doing admin stuff, you should be logging in specifically, because it's God mode. You know, you don't want God mode on your normal account that you're using every single day, because you don't do God mode stuff all the time. And some of the most challenging sites I've ever advised on were ones where they had like 25 admins, and they all made changes, often counteracting each other on plugin settings and stuff. So I do, maybe it's the same thing, that it really has to be editor course creator mode, or I don't know. It's a challenge. Hey, maybe something that the UX team could go on. Let's go on with the next item. So that was all that was there. However, there's been 2 added in since to the database. So we're going to start off with Catherine. Would you like to explain what this is about, please?
Oh, hi, Gavin.
I'm sorry for just grabbing you like that, but hey.
I could also share my screen and do a short live demo, so you will
No,
see
no.
it. No, okay. Okay. This is the in-course menu we made for Boost Campus, and this was the main reason to code Boost Campus, because when Boost was introduced, the menu with the cog icon wasn't satisfying for us and for our teachers. Because you click on the cog icon and then you have few menu items there, and the mainly used items are hidden behind the more link, and then you have to click there, and then it wasn't accessible on all pages. So we created this menu, and if you click on the cog icon, then this tab navigation view will slide in, and you have all the menus, all the menus you need. With the tabbed view, like the site administration is also tabbed, and yeah, the user gets it very quick and very fast, and has the whole overview of all options.
So it's a slide-in menu rather than a page reload, is what you're saying, yeah? Is it?
Yeah, it's sliding in.
That's awesome. It reminds me of the work I think that some guys did on a theme there ages ago. I'm not sure, was it Moodle Rooms about 7 or 8 years ago? They had the equivalent menu. It slide down from the top of the page or something. Martin, you might remember. Maybe that was add activity, but yeah, I think that's really nice. I like it. What do you think, Luca?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it, and the themes loving. So the forum mentioned Distance University of Switzerland is based on and using a lot of things that Boost Campus bring it, and as mentioned in the chat, the Boost Fumbling plugin they do in Ulm. I'm using it. So our theme is a child of that Boost Campus. It's a child of Boost, so it's a Boost grandchild. I couldn't do without.
Okay. Well, I think this is really nice. I love it, must admit. So the next one here was a Tim related one. Let's have a look at yeah. So Tim, I think this is Tim, yeah? Would you like to explain, please?
So this is what we did. This is how we styled the quiz at the OU. Oh, come on. Which is really, I mean, so in standard Moodle, in the quiz, the meta information, like question 6, you got it right, 1 mark, flag question, is in a little block down the left. And on modern designs where you want it to be responsive, that having it left and right is a pain. So we put it above, and we just styled it like a heading. And then we got rid of the blue background. It's a bit faint, actually. I can barely see it on the screen, but the feedback is on a yellow background still. So I just like it a lot, and I'm just wondering, would we like this sort of styling in core rather than what we got right now?
I think that's great, man. You know, it's sometimes you see these sort of things and you go, okay, that's just obvious, and I think it's a great move forward. And perhaps, what do you think, Luca?
I do agree with Tim. I think that would be a way to go. Yeah, it makes things better.
Okay, that's cool. So I think we've got 10 minutes left. I've gone through all the things that were submitted there. So
can I go back to the previous point about the boost menu?
Please do, yes. Go
My
on.
personal annoyance that I've never got around fixing, in the gear menu on a course reset that you need maybe once or twice a year is in the main menu. Question bank, you have to click more. And, you know, if you're me, you're using question bank every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I actually think that was one of the things that when that change happened, the course builder in me and the facilitator in me, when I was doing things, I just went, that's added 3 or 4 clicks to things I do. And that might be one of the things that you were talking about earlier, that's a bit of personalization. Maybe that should be not your favorite things, but your most used things.
That's one the UX designer should have got right, because you do not need course reset that often.
Well, Moodle, and Martin, I'm going to invite Martin to talk about this in a moment, but Moodle as an organization has a challenge in that this is a platform which is productized by each institution, every Moodle partner and every Moodle partner client. So it's actually productized by everybody and personalized as their own system. And so therefore understanding exactly how people are using it, HQ is not just once removed, often twice removed. And so I love all these UX interviews we're doing, but even still, what they think Moodle is different. And I remember being told when I asked on Twitter, I think it was 10 years ago at a Canadian Moodle meet, you know, what would you like to see in Moodle feature? And 90% of the features were something that existed in a version ahead of what the people were on, or had been turned off by their institution. So Martin, anyway, over to you. What's your thoughts on the type of stuff that has been presented here today? And if you'd like to just jump in and finish our session for us, please. If you don't want to, that's cool.
Yeah, hi. Look, I missed a lot of the beginning. I couldn't find it, unfortunately. And also, I feel like I should stay out of it because I got plenty other places to weigh in and talk about this. So I want to leave room for everyone else. So I'm listening.
Okay.
But there is, well, I'll talk in the final session a bit about the stuff. But, you know, it's very, very good to see all these things being chatted and exposed. I just find the UX of this session difficult to have so many things happening. Difficult problems we're facing.
Let me add one more, maybe, Gavin, which I forgot about, and that has been one of now there's some commercial Moodle Dach Dev Camp. That is Dev Camp. We're doing 2 days we code and really get things done. That's in August 24, 25. It's going to be online. So if you're a developer, if you'd like to change things around, move forward some issues and some things, then go there, come and code with us. It's not even though it's organized by German people, we talk the language you want to talk there. There's some German speaking group and English speaking groups. Come there. And the last time there was a development which was about the admin. If you go to the admin section, you have a search and you can search for everything that comes up there. And the guys there during 2 days, they did accomplish to have the results coming up instantly. So they were loading as they typed. And I remember hearing Martin in the audience saying that should be in core. So that I think the code's there. There's working code. I hope you didn't forget about that, Martin, did you?
Oh, even typing. Sander, you were going to chip in something, were you?
Yeah, I think Martin referenced it in the chat, but and we've got Barbara here, so maybe Barbara can pop online as well. But we did indeed do a lot of UX research around the course and administration and the COG, and really aiming to simplify that and taking a lot of the things out of the COG that you don't really need there. And that's something that indeed we're keen to revisit. But yeah, I was just hoping maybe Barbara can sort of chime in and maybe talk a little bit more about that, because she was part of the research that we did at the time.
Okay.
Yes, as Sander mentioned, we did a lot of studies on that, and we did a lot of interviews. I think Luca might be part of it, and Katrin. And so we exposed a lot of hidden items on the cog based on the context of the page. So if you are in on a quiz page, then you would see the what is this? The question bank as one of the main buttons. And we did this for a lot of modules, and so it would be context-based.
Yeah, no, I think it's contextual. Sounds interesting. I do think that dashboard, everything in Moodle, sometimes because Moodle is more course-centric than site-centric, I always sort of think it's more course management and learning management, which I know was Martin used to describe it as. It's it hasn't that site-wide concept of being a teacher, so context is hard for users. But yeah, it's I'm certainly looking forward to what happens in 4.0. Hopefully, some of these things that MUA are suggesting can be just adopted in for one of the mini releases in between as one of our projects. Thank you everybody for coming along to this session and submitting your ideas. Some of these are really brilliant. Love the stuff from Canberra, and there's a great theme here about easier access to courses, easier access to what people need. I think that's just fundamental in a UX and UI. So thank you so much for everyone for your contributions, and Luca, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we can just wrap up then. It's been great. Wonderful, everybody. And please come along to the MUA, join the MUA, get your organization to join the MUA, help propose these ideas, help fund these ideas and get them into Moodle Core. Help Moodle make Moodle as good as they want. Okay.